Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Joe Theodore, and it's an honor to be here with you today. And today, we are going to riff on some things involving 2025. These things will be astrological in nature, as many of you know. And for anyone who is new out there stumbling across this video, I do hope you could consider sticking around just for a few minutes to see if my vibe here resonates with you. And if for anything that I say does resonate and you would like to support the channel and my work, all you have to do is subscribe, and stick around. I post videos every Sunday typically, but occasionally I do other topics here and some educational topics, as many of my followers already know. And as of late, I've been inspired to want to do more videos. So I will be posting probably a little bit more here. And I know that's good news for some of my subscribers already. So yeah, we'll see where the channel goes from here. Some retrograde wishes, trying to prep and plan maybe some new ideas for content during this retrograde for me. And we're in the middle of a Mercury retrograde as I record this video, just so you know, if you are watching this in the future. But yeah, guys, I just want to talk a little bit about 2025. I'm not going into super detail, but I just have gotten some insights that I'm like, you know what? There's some stuff coming in the year that's going to be really incredible. And a lot of my colleagues have been talking about 2025 already in a big way, because I know we've been like moving out of the last end of 2024, concluding the Pluto return, right? 29-degree Capricorn Pluto for the longest time. And yeah, finally beginning to feel what the age of Pluto and Aquarius is all about. Now, for a couple of years now, we've been already kind of understanding what the age of Pluto and Aquarius is going to be about. I think post United States election stuff, we're maybe starting to see what the world can look like in these first couple of years, potentially. We can zoom out and see the conflicts of the world and go, oh, all right, well, if that gets too bad, we'll have a problem. And Aquarius will really start to show its ugly face. And that's something that I think a lot of astrologers got wrong, to be honest. And I'll include myself in that. This idea that the age of Pluto and Aquarius was somehow going to begin with like love and light or some kind of unity, because Aquarius, at the end of the day, is a humanitarian zodiac sign. It involves collective matters. It involves propelling humanity forward. I mean, in all of the Pluto Aquarius transits going as far back as most astrologers can track in history, there's always an evolutionary jump in some kind of way, whether that's in politics, I guess, or just technology, and just, again, even some thought, right? When we say thought, we're talking like philosophy. And maybe even some religions. If we go far back enough, we can see maybe where the Aquarian age, when Pluto came in and kind of like maybe shaped something throughout the world that was very meaningful, or not so meaningful in a more destructive way, potentially. Because we have to understand, anytime something new is being innovated or trying to be pushed into the future, there's going to be an old world that fights for the past, right? So however we want to look at that, that's just the nature of humans, right? We don't necessarily know what the future holds, and some of us are scared of the future or scared of certain things, and it's just more comfortable with this nostalgia of our past. So the beginnings of the age of Pluto and Aquarius, I feel, are very, there's a lot of tension, right? And we don't need to get into politics or anything, and I'm not going to get into politics, but the world is very much in this place where there's a battle of the ideologies. There's a battle of culture. I mean, just look at what's going on in the world, right? Everybody is trying to understand like where our place is, right? The collective world we can't hide from. And there's a lot going on in the collective world that is working out some karma. We can just flatline say there. And Aquarius is kind of the anchor of 2025, to be honest, because this is the first full year we're going to have, because honestly, Pluto just went into Aquarius and we're talking about mid-November. By the time January 1st comes around, that's not even 2 months. And Pluto is like just beginning to turn on its engines, right? So Pluto in Aquarius will be the anchor for 2025. It is the biggest planet involving its scale of transformation. And considering it is the first outer planet to truly make its mark on the world in a very, very powerful way, especially that Mars oppositions to Pluto will be very active pretty much all the way until June, to be quite honest. Or maybe not June, maybe like April and May. Because once Mars gets back into Leo, I guess, like April? Late March, early April, those oppositions to Pluto will be very strong. But then, of course, Mars will move on through Leo, and those oppositions to Pluto will grow weaker and weaker and weaker. But the point is like we're getting the first 3 to 4 months started in 2025 with Pluto in Aquarius facing off the god of war. So we're talking about a turbulent period of adjustment in the world, right? And that's just something I think will be continuing for years, to be honest. And I think the age of Aquarius, like any rebellion, like any evolution and revolution, it takes growing pains, right? So 2025 has so much in store involving outer planet energy, right? We have Aries getting activated in a big way with Neptune and Saturn ingressing for the first time. We have Uranus and Gemini happening in the summer for the first time. Uranus and Gemini and Saturn and Neptune will retrograde back to where they've been for some time during the fall. So there will be some kind of reversal review coming back into those areas of your life, right? Pisces or Taurus, for example, with Uranus. And on the world stage, who knows what that will bring? It'll just sort of seesaw back and forth and maybe remind us of some past stuff. But we can definitely see a lot of transits begin to shape the new world and our lives, right? Because for us, we're coming out of a dreamy age of Pisces into a fiery age of Aries when it comes to Saturn, the builder of worlds. We're talking about the one that needs structure and discipline in order to do things, right? So wherever Aries is in your birth chart, not only are you getting a planet of structure and stability, and yes, restriction a little bit, but only for your highest good in order to build something and to mature somewhere in life, but also the very dreamy, visionary, and spiritualist Neptune, right? And Neptune expresses itself differently for all of us because not all of us are mystics, not all of us are artists, and it really depends on what's going on in your life, of course. We always kind of get a little confused in some parts of a Neptune transit as usual, because that's what Neptune can do. It blurs the lines of reality and the mystical or the illusory, the imagination, so to speak, as well. But we're talking about a drastic change, right? To go from Pisces to Aries, the beginning of the zodiac, the beginning story of what astrology is all about. Rebirth, action, fearlessness, freedom, right? Moving forward. This is huge. And this is going to really amplify and change gears in an area of our life. Again, wherever Aries is. And same for Uranus when that happens in Gemini. We are going to have a lot of sudden, sporadic, spontaneous things begin to start happening for you in your life, right? Like if you had Gemini in the 10th house, you might start getting bursts of insight, inspiration, or things that are very, very stimulating in a psychological sense that like ignites your career path, right? You may have sudden just bursts of energy, and this will very much hit your consciousness and your mind and your mental states before it affects anything else. Because Mercury and Gemini are very much the mind, the communicator. So information will be flying in and out of your experience involving Uranus. And yes, events involving things that you need to be involved with on a very mental level. Socially as well. Because again, no matter where Gemini is in your life, there is definitely a social aspect somewhere to that, where you are involved with communicating in that realm of life. And that is going to be a big shift for all of us. Uranus is a very erratic place, or planet, rather. Uranus is very much needed, though, for miracles, in my opinion. Because Uranus can definitely provide miracles that come out of nowhere. Uranus can be an X factor in many areas of our life that we need. And at the same time, it could also collapse things very quickly or bring about certain events that will require us to use our intellect and our mind. And that is probably going to be a big part of the next 5 or so years while Uranus is transiting Gemini. But again, we're going to get a blast of that starting in 2025. Now, other than those 3 big outer planets, we're going to have actually one of the biggest retrograde cycles, along with the eclipses. And I'm not even going to get started with the eclipses in this video, but we are going to have very powerful eclipses this year. Absolutely. And we'll talk about that maybe another time. But during eclipse season, right as we get into Aries season, and maybe even a little bit before Aries season, right? A little bit like at the end of Pisces season into Aries season, we are going to have retrogrades that I have not seen in a long time. And I'm talking about Mercury and Venus going retrograde at the same time. They will be they will be having conjunctions with each other while direct, and they will also be having conjunctions together while retrograde. And they will just continue to crisscross each other back and forth through a couple of different movements, so to speak, right? And this is going to be huge. And if I'm not mistaken, this is happening in Pisces and maybe Aries as well. So I think these retrogrades are happening. And again, a place where we've had Neptune and Saturn for a long time. And this is also where Saturn and Neptune will still be residing for some time, for just a couple of more weeks. So to have a Mercury and Venus retrograde getting activated by Saturn and Neptune, while they go in and out of Aries, mind you, Mercury and Venus for these retrogrades, this is something that I feel is going to trigger something for when Neptune and Saturn get into Aries. Now, I don't know exactly how this will manifest in the world, but I feel when we're dealing with Mercury and Venus retrogrades, we're talking about not only the mind getting put into a review, a delay, in some kind of critical thinking, problem-solving mode, but we're also dealing with an internal repression or an internal confliction within one's emotional states. And this will very much have something to do with wherever Pisces is for you. And again, Venus retrogrades aren't the end of the world. It's just sometimes we have to deal with emotional repression, and we have to feel something in a different type of way. And by feeling things in a different type of way, or if we get caught off guard and we need to kind of restructure and reassess something involving the Venusian, then this is just part of one massive aspect of our birth chart, right? Wherever Pisces is, wherever Aries is. And this will ultimately prepare you for the next transits that will come down the line, which will come very quickly, right? Because when Venus and Mercury go direct, they're flying through zodiac signs. So by the time late spring, summer comes, Venus and Mercury will be well on their way through Aries, Taurus, and then towards Gemini. So that's going to be a very interesting kind of beginning to the year, because right after Mars goes direct again in February, mid-February, we're going to start traveling, honestly, right towards Mercury-Venus retrograde territory within a month or so. So this retrograde tsunami, wave after wave, will just continue in other forms once Mars goes direct again. Because over the winter, Mars retrograde and Jupiter retrograde concluding its retrograde early February are kind of the big stories. And Mars will definitely still be a story up until June, because Mars doesn't get out of Leo until June, which means Mars has been dealing with Leo energy since early November. And this is a big thing for many things around the world. American politics, global politics. I mean, Mars in Leo has definitely been a symbol for activations involving leadership, right? Restructuring things in the world, or whether they're welcomed or not, right? I mean, there's a lot of world leaders right now involved in a lot of heavy things. And a lot of people are hoping problems get solved and hope that nothing gets worse, right? So Mars, the god of war, and Mars, the one who takes action or is supposed to take action, we're going to have more of a Leo moment involving whoever has dominant Leo placements, or again, just zoom out, collective energy for Leo and Mars. We're talking about leadership on the world stage, potentially involved in the escalations of conflict, or hopefully assertiveness and action and passion in resolving things. So which way is it going to go? We have to see what leaders decide to do, you know? In our own life, we have to also keep track very closely on what Leo is, because we're very much given an opportunity to elevate ourselves in the Leo part of our life in a massive way. Like for me, the Leo part of my life is very powerful. I'm a Leo sun. I have 3 other planets literally in Leo. So my stellium in Leo is just like stacked. And it's in a house topic theme of life that is very activated right now. So Mars is going to hopefully, or I'm going to very consciously be aware of how Mars is acting and what is manifesting in my life. Because again, planets can speak through other people, other events, other things going on, circumstances. And I have to be aware when anything gets too crazy or too intense to realize, oh shit, this is just Mars energy, like activating in my reality. Or when I feel I have impulses, I need to make sure that those impulses are coming from a conscious place. And to also realize that this is a great opportunity for me, because I can take advantage of the god of war to take action and to pave a way, hopefully, forward towards more success and fulfillment, you know, in that part of my life. So for a lot of us, Leo has a great opportunity right now, especially with this retrograde this winter. A lot of us need to work with it, okay? And I already know what my stories are, by the way. Like I already know what these retrogrades are going to be. We've been in pre-shadow for some time. Mercury, obviously, that's retrograde right now. I mean, I already definitely know what that's all about. But Mars, I could already sense, I already know what it's going to be for me over the next couple of months into February, almost March 2025. And I know what I'm supposed to be doing, even though there's things in that retrograde cycle that are going to be uncomfortable a little bit, and I'm going to lose my patience probably a little bit, but it's going to be worth it in the end. I already kind of sense where it's going. And I want you guys to do the same there. And same goes for the rest of 2025, because we're going to be dealing with a Venus retrograde, a Mercury retrograde with an eclipse that's happening very shortly around that time as well, while Saturn and Neptune go into Aries. So again, the end of Pisces into Aries is going to be fucking massive as we get to the summertime, right before the summer, you know? And then Jupiter gets into Cancer, which will be, I think, a beautiful transit. Jupiter, Jupiter is in exile in Gemini. So technically speaking, it's not really that happy in a very chaotic, mutable air sign. But it's been doing what it's supposed to do. I mean, it's obviously churned up the misinformation and just information landscape. I mean, everybody has a a perspective on what's going on in the world. And again, Jupiter has just been expanding the social media space. And everybody's claiming misinformation, disinformation from all sides of the aisle. So please save your comments. I'm not getting political there when I say that. It's just we're in this weird, fast-moving information age, and Jupiter and Gemini definitely didn't help. But Jupiter in Cancer is different, because I think Jupiter in Cancer is going to touch us all in a more obviously emotional place. And wherever Cancer is in your life, this will be a very hopefully opportune time to grow in wisdom and I guess some knowledge, of course, and also maybe in a more emotionally deep place, right? So I think us on an emotional level will be hopefully nurtured a little bit more, especially as we are going to kind of know for real, where the world maybe stands in certain things that are very much activated right now, that there could be big question marks around. So that's another big transit, guys. Jupiter in Cancer. And I think archetypally, as we zoom out, that could very well be a good sign that things won't be so fucked up after all, at least for now, right? So I think Jupiter in Cancer could be a moment where we could have a breath of fresh air. And I know that's very like counter everything I've been saying here, involving like the world and Pluto and Aquarius being a rough start and kind of like a darker period where, we're trying to figure out the best way to evolve as a species. And in a lot of ways, a lot of the world is embracing more, I guess you can say, themes of our past versus like truly moving into a more humane future. But I also understand that human beings need time to evolve a little bit more, and that our structures in the world are not really designed for total progression in a way that I guess a true Aquarian would like to progress. Now in the tech space, we're going to fucking like blow up. We're going to get crazy AI. The technology is going to continue to get wild. So as far as humanity evolving, it's happening now. It's been going on for a couple of years while Pluto's been going in and out of Aquarius, but like we're really going to see that consistently get better. But as far as like the living situations on Earth, as far as, anything that can better humanity on a biological level, we're still in a very, very dark place. And I'm not even referring to like politicians in power or anything like that. It's just all parties, all governments, I think, are fucking not great. Okay. Like I'm definitely not someone who is like marching in the street for one party or another. I think that we're in a place where a lot is being restructured. A lot is being revealed to all of us, whether you're liberal or conservative or in the middle. Everybody is like going, okay, nothing actually is working. You know what I mean? Like people are just still wanting to cause wars and kill each other. And there's really a lot of people who are struggling because, like the rich are getting richer. I mean, does anyone know that? Is people blind to that too? And all of a sudden, like billionaires are like the fucking coolest thing since sliced bread, and people are starving, right? And this people who are starving think the billionaires are cool. Like, I don't get it. And these powerful figures are going to be the beginning of this Aquarian age, even with the tech stuff I just said. Who do you think runs the tech world? Yeah, people with a lot of power, a lot of money, and people who would love to have their hand in politics. So this Aquarian age, yes, very inspiring for the evolution of consciousness and what humanity is capable of, but also a very somewhat dark beginning, because we are not necessarily harmonizing as a one world yet. And when I say a one world, I'm not talking about a one world order. I'm not talking about like anything communistic, guys. I'm saying like this recognition that if we all don't get on the same page culturally and politically in some way, we're just going to further destroy ourselves. And that is the facts here. So 2025 will be a big breeding ground, a big beginning phase of seeing this stuff, of realizing where things are going, at least in the beginning here, right? And I've been saying to everybody, it's going to be probably 5 to 10 years before we really know where humanity lands the plane, right? As far as collective matters that are for the well-being of people, not the tech world, not anything else, because that shit's going to keep going. Medical breakthroughs, all that cool stuff is going to keep moving forward. It's just, is that going to make us lose our humanity too? Because that's another massive part of this age of Pluto and Aquarius for me. It's like, are we going to start questioning what does it actually mean to be a human? If we become so transhumanistic, merging with technology, that's also going to be a big question for the Aquarian age with Pluto, because don't forget, Pluto is death, decay, destruction, and rebirth. Are we slowly dying as a species in a way and being potentially primed to be more hybrid in a way? And I'm not saying robots and shit, but hey, that's also part of this technological who the fuck knows what's coming. But on the world stage, yeah, we have to see what happens, my friends. And this 2025 year will be a big beginning for all of that. But in our own life, I can't tell you how many consultations and readings I've had where everybody is honestly really doing something profound for themselves. And we have to remember that about being a human, that no matter what goes on, whatever shifts and changes are going on in the world, human beings have always evolved and bettered themselves to a degree. We have all still been able to fall in love. We have still all been able to have children and continue to pursue happiness. And that is something we all must realize when we do work in astrology. We have to always remember that every single person is growing, right? And we do live in a time still where we can pursue things that can bring us success and at the very least happiness. And a lot of these outer planet shifts are providing a lot of rebirth for people. And I'm sure you're included in that. And if for any reason you would like to explore that further, please go to my website and you can connect with me. And I would love to do a reading for you, and we could talk and hang out and explore your future a little bit the next year or so. So, yeah, guys, that's all I have for you today. I hope you're well. I hope this resonated, and I will see you in the next video.